teachers. I bash their stubborn, self-interested union. That's who I bash.
That was New Jersey Governor Chris Christie saying we have to fight to get our education system back from the unions. Meanwhile, the teachers' unions are pouring millions into the midterms. So are they trying to buy the elections for the Dems? And will Governor Chris Christie put a wrench in their plans by making a run for the White House in 2012? We welcome back radio host Laura Ingraham. Laura, thanks for sticking around for us for this one. Let's start with the first one. What's going on with the unions? Chris Christie stood up to the unions, and frankly, that's put him on the map for 2012. The first guy in a long time to really stand up to the unions.
Absolutely, Eric. I mean, the first real confrontation he had earlier this year with the unions, it was a public confrontation. I think people across the country, when they saw the video clip, were cheering him, right? Because a lot of us have seen what the teachers' unions over the last 4 decades essentially have done to public education, namely not put kids first, put power first. And that's been really a terrible downward pressure on public education. And I think now, especially for that, with that Waiting for Superman film and Randy Weingarten of the teachers union getting really put down badly by Michelle Rhee, the former DC education chief, saying, look, well, you're not doing all you can for the kids. I mean, the unions have been roadblocks to reform. So when Chris Christie stands up there and he speaks and he says, look, it's nothing personal, but you guys are part of the problem here, the country's like, wow, who's that guy? And my question is, why did it take so long? I mean, it was really nice to see. I love it. And
in fact, Laura, a couple of weeks ago, the guy from Facebook, Zuckerberg, says, I'll put up $100 million. New Jersey says, we'll match the $100 million. You know the only group that didn't think that was a great idea?
Let me guess. Yeah, United Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association.
Saying they didn't like the idea of tying money to performance because that's what they wanted to do. The $200 million that was going to be raised to help kids in Newark, no less, who need it, is going to be tied to teacher performance. They didn't like that. They said, whoa, not sure about that yet.
And I think, Eric, the underprivileged areas are especially affected by this. And this is where I think Republicans have a great opportunity to get in and really make an effort to get more of minority voters to turn out and at least give them a second look, because I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and the teachers' unions were relentless in shutting down something called the D.C. Opportunity Scholarships, which were wildly popular, incredibly important to the families of the District of Columbia. And President Obama, the first black president of the United States, basically did nothing to help these families, these moms, these dads who want their kids to go to good schools in this country.
We're going to run out of time
in this city.
We're going to run out of time with your satellite here, Laura, real quickly. Do you think Mr. Christie, Governor Christie, makes a run for office in 2012? He said no, I don't know, 20 times.
I wouldn't bet it. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it. He's looking pretty interesting to me.
All right, Laura Ingraham, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks,
Hope to
Eric.
have you again real soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. All right, let's bring it into let's widen it out a little bit. Steve, you said this is one you could agree with. You're on the left, but you'd be in support of a guy far right.
No, I'm not on the left at all. And by the way, Chris Christie's not far right. And Curtis and I talk about this on his radio show all the time. The reason I like Chris Christie is not because of ideology.
Steve, hold on. What do you mean he's not far right?
He's not far right.
He's trying to break the unions. Yeah. He's saying the unions are killing our kids.
Yeah. You would call that far right? Here's what I would call it. Practical, smart politics, and he's standing up for himself. Far right is the candidate in Delaware. Far right is Carl Palladino. That's not Chris Christie. I don't want to argue about ideology in terms of labeling, but I'll tell you what, Chris Christie, the reason people like him, and even those who don't like him agree with him and respect the fact that he actually is trying to get things done. Right. And dealing with an $11 billion budget gap in New Jersey and not spending money we don't have, I don't think that's far right. I think that's fiscally responsible.
Okay, fiscally responsible. Yep. Let's call it not far left.
And some of us who are in the middle also see it that way, Eric.
Some of us in the middle. Charles, go ahead.
Listen, Chris Christie has captured a lot of people's imagination because all politicians talk the talk. He has walked the walk. Even though he didn't care about polls, he didn't put his finger in the wind. He came in with an agenda to do things right, no matter what it meant. And everyone's saying, wow, finally someone with the guts.
Would he be a Tea Party candidate?
I think absolutely. I think they would back him. I think they would back him. Why wouldn't they back him, Steve?
He would. Eric asked asked one question. Would he be a Tea Party candidate?
Would he himself say, I want to be a Tea Party candidate?
The answer is, if the Tea Party said, you're our guy, we want you as our standard.
My opinion is
not going to happen.
Totally not going to happen. You know, let him do the job first. You know, the guy's already measuring drapes on Pennsylvania Avenue. He hasn't even been governor 2 years. You're looking for a Mashiach, a Messiah.
Oh, you need experience to win the White House?
Let me tell you something. We learned that. We learned that from Barack Obama. Bottom line is, he's got a looming pension problem that's really going to implode New Jersey. The Union of Failed Teachers is going to dig in. Chris Christie's been away from New Jersey for a month. You think that union hasn't been digging in and preparing for revenge and a vendetta? You better believe that's just one battle he won of a major war that he's going to fight. Forget about thinking about president. Win the war, Chris Christie.
I got to think the left's worried about a guy like this.
Well, I think it'll be really fun to watch. The last rising star we had from New Jersey was Tom Keene. And when it came down to it, there was a problem between the way that people from New Jersey wanted him to govern and the way that the hardcore Republican base wanted a presidential candidate to act. Don't forget, the first Republican caucus that would come up, and Democratic, is the Iowa caucus. And the folks who go to the Iowa caucus are pretty right-wing. I don't think they're going to go for somebody who's a centrist governor.
Yeah, but the problem with Tom Keene is he was a country club Republican.
That's not Chris Christie.
On
the topic of education, though, guys, I'm telling you, whoever can really say, I'm going to go in there and we're going to cut summer from 2.5 months to 2 weeks. We're gonna make teachers accountable. I don't see the unions ever backing a non-democratic candidate at all.
Real quick, I gotta say this.
But do you realize what you're saying? You're backing a guy who says, you know what, union? You just say,
good. I respect him. I agree with him. Go ahead.
Would you vote for Chris Christie for president?
He'd be a viable candidate.
But you're asking I don't know.
I'll put it this way.
Left-handed support.
First of all, he's not running. He's not running. No, it's not at all.
A guy who wants to break the unions or wants to break the stranglehold the unions have on New Jersey.
Do I absolutely agree that Chris Christie's been the first governor to take on the special interest and deal with the fact that we don't have the money to do things, and they got to give back
special interests.
The teachers and others, public employee unions. That's what we agree with that.
The unions, Curtis, he's taking on the special interest.
That's like saying there's only one issue.
Wants to protect.
There's not only one issue when you run for president, but I'll tell you what else. It says more about the weakness of the Republican Party. Look at Sarah Palin. She didn't even win the Tea Party straw poll vote. Mitt Romney, he's not at the.
I thought in your book that would give them more credibility.
The fact that Chris Christie is out there ahead of these folks, what does it say about that crowd?
I'm looking for the candidate who steps up. Forget the charter stuff. Forget the tuition tax credits. Vouchers, V for vouchers. Open up the closed parochial schools and let some of these schools function in the inner city at a cheaper rate.
Figure out your politics right now. You're confusing me a little bit.
Is it hard for you when someone is left, right, and also sees certain issues on their own? My point is this. I think you think there's an ideology for every issue. I went to public schools in Newark, and Curtis knows I went to the Catholic schools when the public schools were so bad. My position on school choice is the same as yours, but my position on affirmative action might be different.
What's your position on extending unemployment benefits to 99 weeks?
I'm for it, but I'm not for those who earn 7 figures who are now, and I know we're going to do it as a segment later. Right. I say, my point is, on certain areas, yes. For multimillionaires, no.
Charles, wrap it up for us.
Well, on that, we've got to draw the line at 99 weeks, and everything we do from now on must be paid for. You know what? We talk about welfare, unemployment, those type of things as a caring nation, but sometimes you care for someone by not giving them, by saying, you know what, you got to get off the sofa.
Charles Payne with all his...
Oh, he's right.
He's absolutely right. He's on the right. He's also right. All right, guys, that's it. We've got to move on. Coming up, Millionaire's Paradise. Why are they getting fat checks while you're off to work? It's an outrage alert you don't want to miss.
Have your joints stopped you from moving freely and made your life a constant misery? Don't give up. Get your life back with Arthro 7. Arthro 7 is a clinically tested joint formula that sold over 7 million bottles to hundreds of thousands of satisfied customers. It's the best